Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Amoron'i, Mania in Madagascar. It's a beautiful, beautiful island with so much diversity in its people groups and wildlife. As you can see, we're in the more central region of Madagascar, which Madagascar has very, very distinct zones. Over here is where you find the lush, thick rainforest. It gets pretty cliffy about here. And then you have the more plateaued, centered area. But Amoron'i Mania isn't really plateau per se. I don't know. When I think of plateau, I think of an area that's a higher elevation that's relatively flat compared to the lower part. But this area is incredibly hilly and rocky and even mountainous in some parts you can see up here. Lots and lots of mountainous areas with lots of cool little valleys. And this area even goes a bit into the rainforest area here. The region is named after the Mania River, which makes up this border and then flows right through the largest city, Ambassador. The other large city being Fondriana. This is a good place to point out the Malagasy language, which is one of those languages, when romanized, is very different than how it's spelled. American English pronunciations of Malagasy are not at all how it's pronounced in Madagascar. For one, the language is called Malgache in Madagascar. It's one of those that the letters don't match up to English sounds. For example, I think this is pronounced the Mani River in Malagasy. Malgache. I don't think you pronounce the A. Can't confirm that because it's very, very hard to find the correct exact pronunciations. Not in American English. That goes for a lot of languages. I mean, I also know French. We say Paris instead of Paris. It's very similar to that. We don't pronounce things right in America, so I'm going to pronounce it how it would be pronounced in America because I'm American. But just keep in mind that that's not how you'd pronounce it in Madagascar. Same goes for Paris and all that. We're going to talk more about the French in a minute. Hold on to that thought. Now, like the other regions of Madagascar that I've covered already on this channel, I could not find a lot of history that happened in here specifically. A lot of history has happened in Madagascar, mainly centering around the capital city up here in Tananarivo. But not a lot of history in the other little corners of the island. So what I'm going to talk about primarily is the ethnic group, the main ethnic group that lives here. There's a lot of them. There's a lot all throughout Madagascar. But the one I'm going to talk about is the Safir-Maniri, which again is probably not how it's at all pronounced, but that's as close as I could get to it in American English. The Safi-Maniri. Which their culture actually has in, what is it called? The UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, which I point out the UNESCO World Heritage sites, which are places you can put on a map. The intangible cultural is obviously culture that you can't hold in your hand. And what the Safi-Maniri have is their woodworking skills, which is kind of out of this world amazing, to be honest. They do lots of wood carvings, they sell lots of crafts here in Ambassador and the markets, but they're very famous for their wood houses, their traditional wood houses, which are amazing because to me they just look like houses. Like they look like timber houses that you would find in the American plains, you know. They've got They look very European, but they aren't. That's their cultural style of building with 4 walls and a roof. It's pretty unreal, because you think of cultural houses, you think of like straw huts, mud houses, even like rondavelles. I'm obsessed with South Africa, so when I think of traditional houses, rondavelles come to my mind first. Houses that look very distinct to the region, but these just look like timber houses. 4 walls, doors, windows, roofs. Like, it's pretty remarkable that that's just the indigenous cultural housing. It looks like a little cabin in the woods that you'd find in America. It's pretty awesome, I think. These people are farmers primarily. They partook in the traditional farming method known as tavi in Madagascar, which again is probably most likely not how it's pronounced at all in Madagascar, which essentially is just slash and burn farming, which is how these people came up to this plateau region, is that they chopped down so many trees for farming and for their amazing wood houses that they started running out of trees. So they had to start moving to newer, different lands to find better timber. This would eventually come back to bite them during the 1940s, the late 1940s, after World War II, when many people of Madagascar started rising up against the French, who owned Madagascar, I believe, as the colony. I don't think it was a department, I think it was still a colony. And the French came down very hard. Like, think of all of the horrible atrocities to put down a rebellion that could be committed, and the French did it in Madagascar in, what was it, 1946, I think, and probably a few years beyond. The Zafir-Maniri were hit particularly hard because of their proximity to Antananarivo and Ansarabe, the major cities of central Madagascar. And for the sake of monetization, just think of what a repressive European government would do to indigenous peoples. Any kind of horrible thing you can think of, that happened to not just the Zafir-Maniri, but many, many other Malagasy peoples of Madagascar. But slowly but surely the people here would rebuild. Their numbers obviously aren't nearly as big as they were 100 years ago because of that incident. But the culture's still there. It's doing its own thing and living in a more modern Madagascar. Pretty much that's all I have for you for this region in terms of history. So why don't I grab Google Earth and we'll explore it. I didn't find a lot of pictures while I was playing on my own, so maybe we'll find some together. Oh dear, I'm really zoomed in, aren't I? Let me try to stretch this out a bit. Alright, doing my best. Amoron'i, you can see the rice paddies here. The Zafir-Maniri have transitioned more from like traditional farming to rice farming to kind of keep up with the day. The center of town there, I believe that is in Ambassador. Let's see. So, yep, there it is. Center of town. That's very like Italian countryside kind of house, isn't it? A little chameleon. Lots and lots of chameleons in Madagascar of all shapes and sizes, and of course colors, right? You've got that French, I want to say French colonial, but it's like French colonizer style of architecture. Like the type of buildings the French would build in their colonies, I should say. Very hilly landscape. Little market area there, it looks like. Selling some bananas. Or plantains, maybe. Probably bananas. And some neat wood crafts. Which is probably, over here is... There we go. This isn't the right town, but you can see their terraced rice farmings. I meant to click on Fandriana, and that was close, but Madagascar. Where is it? Fandriana. There we go. More rice paddies, that's the only picture. So yeah, it's like I could zoom in and show you. What's neat about the towns here is that they seem to have a circular town center, like this. And everything just kind of stems out like a spider web, kind of like my nails. I'll show you the one. I'm lost. There we go, in Ambacidra. Let's find it. Right here. Everything's just kind of circular and just stems out from the main circle of town. So I wonder if that's in other places of Madagascar as well. Look at these beautiful cliffs here. All these cool valleys. Big, thick cliffs up here. And yeah, there's the Mania River, so let's not go too far north, right? You can see all the farms alongside the riverbanks and stemming out. There's the red soil of Madagascar, how it gets the nickname the Red Island, from this red soil. Very, very fertile soil. And yeah, you can see all the river valleys. How cool is that? It's almost like, there's another big circle. It's a little farm. When you get Play-Doh and you mix too many colors together and it starts to turn kind of brownish, it looks like that. It looks like you've mixed together a lot of green Play-Doh with some, you know, reds and blues, and you're starting to get a mushy kind of color. That's the color this place has. But yeah, let's pick a random town until we find some pictures. I like this one. That's a nice long name. No pictures. No pictures. I might just have to leave it up to you guys to find some pictures. There's my kitten at the door. But over here, nope. A lot of places with no pictures. So, I might have to leave it up to you guys to go and explore. Let's see, there's a little garden. Alright, I found something. It's just one picture. But it's pretty though. Port Manamiha, no pictures. Yep, that's kind of where we're at. So, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to try to find some cool slideshows. And leave them down in the comments if you manage to find any, because I'm kind of out of luck. You're going to have to comb this area a little tighter to see if you can find any other photos. But I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. And if you're new to the channel and you liked this style of content, please consider subscribing. Next, we're going to go to a place where there's almost too much to look at on Google Earth. I'll have to pick and choose what to show you, and it's in Russia. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. I hope that you have a good